Or Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa farajum. Please recite a Surah Fatiha for Kulul Mu'mini Mu'minat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa farajum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa farajum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa farajum. Oh Allah, send your blessings on Prophet Muhammad and the family of Prophet Muhammad, and hasten, expedite, speed up the return of my living Imam to me. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim, ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, master of the day of judgment. Thee do we serve, and thee do we beseech for help. Keep us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those who thy wrath is brought down, nor those who have gone astray. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Say He, Allah is one. Allah is He on whom all things depend. He begets not, nor is He begotten, and there is nothing like Him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa farajum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa farajum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa farajum. May Allah send blessings on Prophet Muhammad and the family of Prophet Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa farajum. Please hasten our successor. I want to start today, very sad night, by offering condolences, first and foremost, to the Lady of Light, Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. I want to offer condolences to Allah's love, our Prophet, the perfecter of religion, the perfecter of the message, the seal of prophecy, Prophet Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa farajum. I want to offer condolences to He who is known more famous in the heavens than He was on earth. He who had the answers of heaven and answers of earth. He who is Sirat al-Mustaqim, who is the line of God, the best friend of the Prophet, the hand of Allah, the voice of Allah. He who is the gate to the city of knowledge. He who is guidance for all of mankind. The father of Imam Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I want to offer condolences to our third Imam, he who is beloved by all, he who showed patience, he who showed class, majesty, he who showed creativity, he who showed kindness and generosity, he who was so handsome, he who was so just, who was so good, he who was such a pious man but used to shake out of fear for the Almighty Allah, no other than Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa farajum. And I want the loudest salawat and the biggest condolences to a living Imam, that he who is going to take revenge, he who's going to make right the wrong that was done to his family, he who we're waiting patiently for, just like the people in Medina, Bibi Suhra, Banin, we're waiting for word from Karbala, what happened to their beloved that had left and gone to Kufa. They're waiting, just like that, we're waiting to hear from for the reappearance of our master, our king, our Lord, Imam Mehdi Sahibul Zaman alayhi salam, Allah's proof, our guide, and the master of time, Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Unfortunately, one of the biggest ways to destroy mankind is to make mankind think that they're doing something good and let their good get watered down with bad intentions. And that way, when you do something with bad intentions, not only do you not get the full benefit, but the blessings that radiate from it, that touch your heart, touch your soul. Not even talking about the sawab, I'm talking about the direction of your decisions, the direction of the choices you make, the way you treat each other, the way you treat your family. Sometimes you stand up for yourself. Sometimes you stand up for what you believe in. Sometimes you get angry because you're not given the proper, respect. Sometimes you're upset because things didn't work out your way. Whatever it is, when we try to do, especially good deeds, we try to do good deeds, we start to think about ourselves and how much we're sacrificing for it and how much we put into it and how much we expect from it and how much we're getting from it. And then it waters down the beauty of what we're doing. So before we do anything else, let's purify our intentions like only prayer to Allah can do. Allah, we do everything for you. We do everything for those who you love. You instructed us and showed us that these are the people who you love. And you told us, you let us know through the words of your prophet, through the words of the Imam, that true guidance, true success is by following their path. You made it clear by saying, Hazrat Ali telling us, he's Sirat al-Mustaqim, letting us know in the Quran that we ask you to keep us on Sirat al-Mustaqim, letting us know that you're the master of the day of judgment. Ya Allah, we do things with such arrogance. We do things with such oversight. We do things with such lack of understanding of the gravity of what we're doing. Ya Allah, please purify us of any ill intention, any ill will, any arrogance, any entitlement, any jealousy, any weakness, any shortcoming, any insecurity, any embarrassment, any shyness. Take it all away from us and let us give everything we have to the bursa that we're going to give tonight. Every time we pray namaz, every time we open Quran, every time we're good to our family, every time we're good to our friends, every time we take out sadaqah, every time we think about you, Allah, please help us do with the best of intentions. And I'm asking you this, hoping that you understand me better than I understand myself, because I seem to think that I'm doing everything for such a good reason, for a good cause, and I'm doing such a good thing to help people. And only you know the darkness of my soul, Ya Allah. Only you know the limitations of my prayers and the limitations of my words. Only you know the limitation of my intellect. Only you know how bad this disease of jealousy and envy and entitlement actually is in my body. And I ask that even if it's just for the next hour, you rid me of it, so all of us can get the maximum benefit of all of the thing we do. When I say I mean all of us, each and every one of us that's listening, each and every one of our family members, our mahum, people who, people who can't attend, people who don't know about this, people who are loved by the people who are watching this, or loved by the ones who are loved by the ones who are loved by the ones who are people watching this. Ya Allah, your kingdom is immense, and your generosity, your freedom, your forgiveness, your benefits know no bounds. So give everybody the maximum benefit and the best intentions for anything that's happening. And Ya Allah, that's the best way to guide us, and that's the best way to ensure that we don't continue to destroy ourselves. We're destroying ourselves. The name of Imam Hussain, we destroy ourselves, our community, each other, one another, talk bad on one another, expect things that we don't deserve. We don't deserve anything, and when we do something good, we expect something from it. Ya Allah, don't give me anything for this unless you give the entire community everything for this. And then only because I know your kingdom is vast, and only because I know that by asking you, I develop a relationship with you. If it wasn't for that, Allah, I would ask you for nothing because I deserve nothing. But I know that that is how mankind develops a relationship. So I'm asking you to give me a pure intention, and out of your generosity, not because I'm deserving, but out of your generosity, give me the maximum benefit, more than the maximum benefit, because that's what you do. And that's why you're our Lord. And that's why nothing else could be our God, ever has, ever will, ever can be, Allah, except for you. You are the greatest. You are the best. And I ask that you listen to my dua right now, and you purify all of our intentions. So everything we do from this point on is with the best of intentions, and reaps the best of rewards, has the best of effects on our lives here and in the hereafter. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu. So today's program, we're going to do 20-minute Dua Tawassul Tuesdays, where we will do Hadith Kissa and do Tawassul after that. I've been keeping the programs too under, about an hour. Today, I'm going to be honest, I may not go over. Why? Because tonight is the night when we commemorate he who was the son of a poet, he whose grandchildren were poets, he who we think was a warrior and a soldier, but he was a scholar and a philosopher and a preacher. And his mother, his whole family, yes, he was from a family of warriors, but his family of poets. And that inspiration for Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam to come from a family of poets, for himself to be a poet, for his grandchildren to be known as poets, that inspires us to use our words for the best purpose, use our creativity that Allah gave us with our freedom. Creativity, use our creativity and our words for the best of intentions. And inshallah, today we're going to recite a lot of poetry for Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. But as we should begin all things, I want to introduce a very important thing that we should do to start all gatherings, right? And if you don't understand why we should do this to start all gatherings, then you should listen and read the subtitles as we're about to play this, as we were about to listen to Hadith Kissa, the story of the cloak. The story of the cloak. It was sourced by the light, for it was she who spoke about a house most blessed and purified above any other. I'm talking about the house of Rasulullah. This is the house of the mother. The Prophet felt a weakness in his body. He told the father's mother, Allah, she said, is the only healer. There is no other. And with the Yemeni over him, she would cover. This is where Abul Qasim, he sat next to himself and sat next to his brother. And then inside the cloak came a light. It was bright enough to illuminate all sight. It was born from density, created from the highest intensity. In came the mother. May Allah send blessings on none other than Muhammad's family. For all eternity, may he quickly return, my living Imam, to me. All five inside a single Yemeni. Angels were huddled tight on that night in paradise, stretching as far as the light could see, but they would never be as pure as the 2 + 3, a cloak like no other, a Yemeni, a comforter, sitting with the family tree, the perfect circle with immaculate company, God's love and his progeny. Their flesh is his flesh, blood is blood. If you're at war with them, he said, you are at war with me. May Allah send blessings on Muhammad's family for all eternity. May he quickly return by living Imam to me. Hazrat Jibreel, he saw them run 5 on 5 and asked Allah if he could run 3 on 3. Allah said, fly from Ileen down to earth and deliver this message of purity. The 6th man among the 5 you are allowed to be. Assembled was the greatest team in history. The house of Fatima Zahra, her father Muhammad, her husband Hazrat Ali, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain, children of the lion and the light, masters of the youth of paradise, Al-Mujtaba, and the king of the Shaheed, the sons of Qamar bin Hashim, her progeny, the greatest angel and the immaculate 5, the most beloved to ever be alive, the purest house the world will ever see. For the sun, the moon, the rotating cosmos, and their sailing ships, Allah said, were created for no other than thee. May Allah send blessings on Muhammad's family for all eternity. May he quickly return, my living Imam, to me. And this is why we recited at the beginning. This is why we start every program with Hadith Kissa, because now that we've spoke of the greatness of the event of the cloak, angels are surrounding you and me. Why wait? Let's do it at the beginning. Now that we spoke of the greatness of the event of the cloak, angels are surrounding you and me. Never again stressed nor oppressed, never sad nor mad will we ever be. If you have a prayer, he will answer. Now is the time to implore it on he. Whatever your request, this time is the best. For you and I, we have achieved success from this moment all the way to Akhirah. Wa Rabbil Kaaba Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن جابر بن عبد الله أنصاري أنه قال عن فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني زوفا فقلت له عزك بالله يا أبتاه من الزوف فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يطلع له كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدة يا رسول الله أتزن لي ندخل معك تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوزي قد أذنت لك فدخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدة السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتزن لنكون معكما تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافي أمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل معهما تحت الكساء فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتزن لي نكون معكم تحت الكساء قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسيي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاح يا رسول الله أتزن لي نكون معكم تحت الكساء قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بزأتي قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ بي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وأومى بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وحاستي وحامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس
How did this guy build a business to $10 million a year while impacting millions?
وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزيا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء فقال الأمين جبريل يا رب ومن تحت الكساء فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتزن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويكسك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزيا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر حبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وهفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال نبي ثانيا يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيتنا ومحبينا وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وكذا الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل
وجه فرجهم. اللهم
اللهم صل على
محمد
وآل محمد
وجه فرجهم.
In honor of Hazrat Abbas, I'll make this oath to Islam, to the flag of Islam. Please give a loud salawat for the flag bearer of Islam, Hazrat Abbas. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajh fajr. The Islamic flag, a beautiful sight. I will never forget this flag, no day nor night. Nor will I forget what this flag means. It's a flag of peace and a flag of harmony. It's a flag of our living Imam, a flag of truth and of Islam. It's a flag of piety and a flag of purity, a flag of love and of prophecy. I will never forget what this flag has been through, from laying on the ground of Karbala to being a symbol of Allah. I promise to raise the flag high in every town and never ever let it touch the ground. I promise to do my best every day to honor what it stands for and love the Ahlul Bayt. May Allah send blessings on Prophet Muhammad's family and may he quickly return my living Imam to me. Salawat. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajh farjam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajh farjam.
Allahumma
Salli ala Muhammad wajh.
Hazrat Abbas, Lion of God, son of Banin and Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. He is the moon of Qamar Bani Hashim. He is the hands of Qamar Bani Hashim. And he is supposed to protect the eyes no matter what it costs him. He did this on the day of Ashura when he went to get water for Bibi Sakina, and when he went to Karbala to fight for Imam Hussain and all his rights. Hazrat Abbas is very brave and strong. Hazrat Abbas, Lion of God, along with Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, Sakina, Sugra, Zainab, and Hussain, all love Hazrat Abbas all the same. So when Sakina wanted water he rode for her. He never returned with the blood in his eyes. He also could not bear to see Sakina cry. Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, you are so brave and so strong. You are the flag bearer of Islam. Salah.
Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jafar. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jafar. Like I said, we're going to do poetry in honor of Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam today. Hazrat Abbas was a poet from a family of poets. These two original drops by MWA, Muslims at Allah, Muslims at Abbas, Muslims at Azadari, inspired me. I want to recite a poem that I wrote actually last year. Kids, do you think you guys should help me with this poem?
Yeah.
It's called Abbas the Hero. Why don't you get two, come stand over here? All right. Yeah, there. Okay. Wa Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Let me tell you about a hero.
A hero named Abbas.
His arms they fought for freedom until they cut them off.
Ya
Let me tell you about a hero.
A hero named Abbas. His arms they fought for freedom
Until they cut them off. One more. Let me tell you about a hero.
A
A
hero
hero
named
named
Abbas.
Abbas.
His arms they fought for freedom
Until they cut them off. Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas.
Abbas, ya Abbas.
Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas.
Ya Abbas, ya Abbas.
Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas.
Ya Abbas, ya Abbas.
Let me tell you about a hero.
A hero named Abbas.
His
His arms
arm.
they fought for freedom until they cut them off.
He was son of the lion of God, the lion of the tribe. He was called Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, no matter what the cost. With you by our side, we are never lost. Bab al-Hawaj, the gateway to prayers. You stood by Hussain when no one else was there. Let me tell you about a hero.
A hero named Abbas.
His arms they fought for freedom until they cut them off. Let me tell you about a hero. A hero named Abbas. His arms they fought for freedom until they cut them off. When he mounted Uqab, his mighty horse, he was so tall his feet touched the floor. Who would have known what they had in store when he rode for Sakina, rode for her thirst? He reached the river, but he didn't drink first. Allah-tash, Allah-tash, Allah meant a mush to knock down the flag of Islam. They had to cut off his arms. Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas. His arms were lost. The water for the children, clenched with his teeth. An arrow from her mullah, the backwater was breached. Let me tell you about a hero.
A hero named Abbas. His arms they
fought
fought for
freedom
freedom
until they cut them off. Let me tell you about a hero. A hero named Abbas. His arms they fought for freedom until they cut them off. She was the daughter of Ali and the Lady of Light. Zainab was his sister, protected by might. The arms of Abbas, they protected her veil. With Abbas by her side, she would always prevail. He was trained by the greatest, Hazrat Ali. There was no foe he could not defeat. So when the lion he married, al-Banin, it was the day of Ashura he had on his mind. A companion for Hussain he would surely find. In Karbala, the land of despair, neither Ali nor Hassan, none would be there. Allah gave him a son, the gateway to prayers. Bab al-Hawaj would surely be there. Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, the flag of Islam would never be lost. He held it high until they took his hands. Nazim and Kulsum paraded through the lands, veil snatched from their head, their protector was head, yet they saved Islam, and that's all that was said. Let me tell you about a hero. A hero in the boss. His arms that fought for freedom until they cut them off. Let me tell you about a hero. A hero in the boss. His arms they fought for freedom until they cut them off. Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas.
Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas.
Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. That was a short sidetrack from our 20-minute Du'at al-Wasl Tuesdays. Please recite a loud salawat for the recitation of Du'at al-Wasl, and while we pull it up, please recite Surah Fatiha for Shahid Karbala. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله، يا إمام الرحمة، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين، يا علي بن أبي طالب، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد، يا قرة عين الرسول، يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى، يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد، يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباكر، يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيها يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر ابن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلق يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلق يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلق يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند ساداتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله، وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله، فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله، فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله، وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله، فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا ساداتي يا أولياء الله. صلى الله عليهم أجمعين، ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين. آمين يا رب العالمين.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات الله. محمد وآل محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى محمد وجل اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وجل. Please recite the Surah Fatiha for Maroon Tahir Mumin of the Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahu samad lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Oh my Lord, creator of everything created, everything subject to your plan, nothing has ever deviated. Larger than the universe, you are the last, you are the first. There in the beginning, before everything, before the creation of the concept of nothing. You are just, you are loving. You decided where to place our planet, 1 mile closer or farther away from the sun. We'd have no water to drink. We would never understand it. Everything created in pairs. You are the only thing that is one, nothing can compare. Not only do you have all the power, but you are the most fair. No one else can be the most far, yet the most near. Oh Allah, bring comfort to everyone in despair. Keep us on the path to heaven. You are forgiving, you are fair. Send blessings on Prophet Muhammad, and through his blessings, give success to Muslims everywhere. Please hasten the reappearance of our Imam without a moment to spare. Or Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jalla. So today's topic, we continue to talk about freedom. Freedom of association, freedom of assembly. We're free to speak to whoever we want, make friends with whoever we want, follow whoever we want, congregate with whoever we want. This is a freedom that is also in our Bill of Rights in the United States of America. This is a freedom also given to us by Allah. You can associate yourself with me, or you could associate yourself with somebody else. But Allah sent us intellect and guidance to know that if you associate yourself with somebody else, you're limiting yourself, not just in your blessings, but in your freedom. You're limiting everything you have, including the very essence, including your intelligence, including your freedom, including your final destination, your rewards, the weight of your words, the power of your dua, the weight of your actions. All of these are limited if you associate yourself with anybody other than Allah, with anybody other than Allah. And because Allah is so far from us that our minds of this physical world cannot fathom such a great thing. And even if our mind was somewhere else, we still couldn't fathom Allah, because Allah is unfathomable. But because of our separation, we look for familiarity in this world. And that's why Allah sent us the examples, sent us the love, sent us the personalities of the Ahlul Bayt, right? You know, when I was a kid, I remember more than anything, I wanted to be Hazrat Abbas. I wanted to be Hazrat that was so brave. So, you know, so big that when he rode a horse, his feet touched the floor. I loved Hazrat Abbas. He was scared of nothing. That's what I wanted to be. I remember I used to go to school and I used to sit there and I used to read about Hazrat Abbas at recess. I remember one day I was at Joffrey when it was in Cudahy, in Bell Gardens, right straight in the ghetto. they had a English majlis, and my elder, Aftab Zahid, send blessings on him and his family. He recited a Messiah about Hazrat Abbas. I always remember that Messiah. I remember in that very center was a Maulana Hisham Hussain. I don't think I've ever seen him after that year, right? But he was the first English speaker I had heard, and he was in the main hall of Jafria, and he did a Messiah of Hazrat Abbas. I remember I cried so much that even while people were getting niyaz, I was standing next to my father. I was crying and crying and crying about what they did to Hazrat Abbas. Couldn't stop. One thing I always remembered about Hazrat Abbas was his dedication to Imam Hussain. Anything Imam Hussain said, he did. Imam Hussein's, when Imam Hussain was hurt, Hazrat Abbas was hurt. Talk about Imam Hussain doing khidmat of everybody else, loving everyone else, and Hazrat Abbas was there loving Imam Hussain. He was dedicated. Freedom of association, freedom of assembly. He wanted to associate himself with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. He wanted to be there for Imam Hussain alayhi salam. In fact, when Hazrat Ali was on his deathbed, he had everybody commit allegiance to Imam Hassan alayhi salam, except for Hazrat Abbas. Hazrat Abbas, he called, in fact, Hazrat Abbas was a young boy when Hazrat Ali was dying. When his father was laying there, deteriorating, the strongest man that anyone ever knew was dying of poison and a sword to his head. And Hazrat Abbas waited while, and Benin, his mother, she waited while people in the room, Hazrat Ali called everyone in the room and had them give allegiance to Imam Hassan. And Benin, she asked Hazrat Ali, how could you forget about Abbas? Right? How could Hazrat Ali forget about Abbas? He prayed for Hazrat Abbas. He wanted a son to represent him in Karbala. And boy, did that son represent him, right? So Hazrat Abbas committed himself to Imam Hussain from a very young age. The stories that Imam Hussain was said during a majlis once, during one of his dad's sermons, he said, I'm thirsty, and Hazrat Abbas brought him water. The water spilled, and then everyone started crying, right? And they say, why would Imam Hussain say that? Why would he say, I'm thirsty? I've heard that Imam Hussain and Hazrat Ali Akbar both had this condition, right? It's not a sickness. It's, people have different sensitivities, different allergies, right? They had a sensitivity that people still have where they always felt thirst, always feel thirst. They're people always hungry, right? They always felt thirst. And so one day he heard, when Bibi Fatima Tadara, on the last day that she lived, she cleaned the house and she filled all the jugs of her house. Why? Because Imam Hussain, because her son Hussain always feels thirsty, and she never wanted anyone to forget to give him water. So when you hear things like this, and how could that happen, and this and that, right? This is not, these were human beings. They're not, they're out of worldly because of their knowledge, because of their dedication, because of the responsibility that Allah put on them. He didn't just say you guys are the best of the best, but they gave them responsibility. That's why Imam Hussain had the responsibility to make sure that he even took Hazrat al-Asr to Karbala. That's why Imam Hussain had the responsibility to make sure that to the very last minute, he asked the people trying to kill him, is there anyone to help me? Right? He was asking because it was his job to lead these people, to be Imam to these people, to make sure that Islam lived on. It's a big responsibility. Some people start groups and I'm going to do this year, next year, 2 years later, it's done, right? Their mom till the day you die. Right? This is a responsibility that you can never get. It's something we can't fathom. It's easy for us to say, oh, they knew heaven was near. Heaven's near too. Didn't we just do hadith Qissa, followed by Dua Tawassul? Intercession, we're going to get intercession by those who Allah loves. And if you don't believe that, why are you listening to the dua? If you don't believe the power of hadith, why are you listening to it? If you don't believe that Karbala happened, it's historically proven, in accounts of history that this event happened. I was doing research on Ashura and all of these great things that were said to happen on Ashura. Hazrat Nuh's ark stopped, and Hazrat Yunus came out of the well, and Hazrat Suleiman got his kingdom. Hazrat Musa, the Red Sea parted, right? And all these great things happened, right? And I started to look for reliable sources, right? From our 14 infallibles, a reliable source that confirms. And I'm not an Islamic researcher. I try to do my research, but my expertise and my knowledge doesn't come close to people who study Sharia, study Islam in Iran, right? And so maybe that's why I couldn't find it. But I start to on TikTok they talk about Ashura being such a pious day, and they talk about all these events, but they don't talk about Imam Hussain. See, they're trying to take this day away. I saw it on Google Calendar instead. It says Ashura on Friday on the Google Calendar or the Apple Calendar, or whatever. I have an iPhone, so I'm against the Apple Calendar, right? But Ashura Day is on there, right? That's good, but it's also bad. See, because for generations, it was us telling the story of what happened on Ashura. Bibi Zainab told the story to the people, to the people of Damascus. Then they told the story to the people in Kufa. They told the story to the people of Medina. Those people told the story to their children. And my father told the story to me when I wanted to. His father told the story to him. My father told me about Hazrat Abbas, and that's who I wanted to be. And it's passed down generation to generation. And now people come in and say, well, why would Janab Qasim get married on the 6th of Muharram, right? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Because getting married perfects your deen. And just because you're dying doesn't mean you don't perfect your deen. Why? Because when you get married, right, anyone who thinks death do us apart, you're wrong, right? Your spouse is your spouse in Jannah too. And just as his brother, he discussed with his brother, Imam Hassan, they were going to marry their kids so they'd be linked in this world and in the hereafter. And when you talk about that, doing a wedding is beautiful, in the face of danger, right? And all these people are going to come and question it, right? Well, did that really happen to Bibi Sakina? Well, how is it possible that one man could be this brave? How is it possible that how is this possible? How could, they say that the American troops, one American troop can, is better, one trained American soldier is more of a weapon than 20 soldiers of another country. So if one man can defeat 20 American soldiers, how about somebody trained by Hazrat Ali alayhi salam? Somebody who's fighting for justice, truth, and justice in America. How about you're fighting for right and wrong with the hand of Allah, right? So people are going to come and they're going to say things like Hadith Kisa, you shouldn't recite that, and these things never existed, and all of this. That's what's going to happen, right? We get so happy we see Eid Mubarak in Walmart when you go. It's Eid time, Eid Mubarak, get your Eid sale, right? Oh, look what happened to Christmas, right? I all say this and I was like, what are you talking about? Christmas is awesome, right? Yeah, but Hazrat Isa went to sleep wanting no possessions, and people, I saw a man, literally, I'm telling you the truth. I went outside one day on Christmas, on Thanksgiving, and there was a house that had decorated for Christmas for the first time on my street. They had 2 young children, right? And there was police outside the street. That's what happened. Their father had hung themselves from the stairs because he couldn't give the kids Christmas presents. That's not what Christmas is about. This has really happened. Really true story. My neighbor had hung himself because he felt bad that he couldn't give his young kids Christmas presents. Right? So sad. That's not what Christmas is about. Right? Muharram is not about anything other than recommitting ourselves to what's the right path. Understanding, don't just cry for Imam Hussain, understand what he stood for. Don't understand what he died for, what he fell for, understand what he stood for. Right? What did he stand for? What did he stand for? Are we going to associate ourselves? Freedom of association, right? That's one of the divine freedoms. That's all still protected by our Bill of Rights in our country, right? It was the divine freedom given to us by Allah. And he said, associate yourself with me or don't. It's your choice. Who are you going to associate yourself with? In honor of the fact that we can choose our friends and choose who we are associated with. I'm going to talk today about the friends of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a very hard day for me. It's a very hard day for me because this is the day I couldn't even go 2 hours without drinking water. This is the first day of extreme thirst. Extreme thirst in the camp of Imam Hussain. Who knows when Hazrat Abbas had water? They knew water was running out. They knew they didn't have access to the river. Who knows when Imam Hussain, Hazrat Abbas, Hazrat Ali Akbar, they were probably thirsty from the 4th of Ashura or earlier than that, right? They'd stopped drinking water to make sure that the women, the children, the elderly had water. It was a day of thirst. A day of thirst. A day of suffering. Already suffering, a day of more suffering. Why? Because they're still not going to give allegiance to us? Cut off their water. Take away their basic freedom of existence. And let's see what they do. What did they do? They prayed. Some people say, the very sad story that Bibi Zainab made mehndi for Janab Qasim by mixing the mehndi with the tears from her eyes. It may not have happened, right? But I'll tell you. And the reason why I don't know if it happened is I don't know enough about the recommendations of a wedding to know if it's sawab to put mehndi on. And if it's sawab to put mehndi on, then I guarantee you that happened. Because there's no way that the wedding would happen in the house of the Ahlul Bayt if they didn't do everything recommended by Allah. So if Allah recommends that you put mehndi on your hand, I guarantee you Bibi Zainab cried and made tears so she could mix the mehndi. Right. So these are things we need to think logically about. Why am I talking about Janab Qasim today when I talked about him yesterday? I don't know. I was talking about the friends of Imam Hussain, and these things came to my mind. Right. I hear so many different things, criticisms about Ashura and Karbala, and it drives me insane because people are losing the spirit of what happened, the gist of what happened, why it happened, why Imam Hussain they think that we went to fight. We didn't go to fight. They went for peace. He wanted to, you're going to kill my people. Oh no, Muhammad, Janab Qasim, how much bloodshed had they seen before Karbala? In their own town, people were being hung in the center for giving allegiance to their uncle. People were being hung in the town for saying their grandfather Ali's name. That was what was happening in Medina at the time. That's what was happening all over the nation, the Arabian nation at the time, were people who were being killed for supporting their family. So these young boys, right? They were young boys, but they weren't a stranger to death. They would see their people who they respected being killed all the time, right? That is what was happening. For Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jafar. So on the way to Kufa, right? They were on the way to Karbala, but their intention was to go to Kufa. On the way, many people wanted to join Imam Hussain. Many people wanted to join Imam Hussain, but Imam Hussain would send them away. Bibi Zainab asked him, why are all these soldiers coming? He said, they're coming to kill me. So why do we only have 72 people? And he said, we'd have more, but people wanted to come, but I sent them away. Their dedication wasn't where it should be. If they were going to come and walk with me, they were going to come and stand with me. So I sent him away. Imam Hussain didn't force anybody to come. He didn't force anyone to come, right? He brought his family with him, and he brought mostly elderlies because they were migrating. They weren't going to fight. They're going to fight. He takes soldiers, right? They were migrating, right? They were migrating to Kufa, town that he had already lived in, right? Now, one of his friends came with him. It was a friend who was born in Yemen, and this friend was actually part of the family of Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jafar since the time of Prophet Muhammad, right? See, Hazrat Ali alayhi salam had been sent to Yemen by Prophet Muhammad himself. And when he went to Yemen, they had ceremonies introducing Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, accepting Islam, accepting Prophet Muhammad, and they celebrated this union of Yemen with the Islamic nation. And the king, he wanted to give Hazrat Ali a gift. He gave Hazrat Ali a gift, and he gave him a horse named Muntazar. And Hazrat Ali was holding the reins of the horse, and the horse would look in the direction of the desert and would start crying, and make his horse crying noise. And Hazrat Ali asked the king, he said, "What's going on with this horse?" He says, "Looking for a son." So the horse looking for a son? He said, "Yes, he's looking for a son, Zuljana." Every day, this horse's son Zuljana would run out to the cusp of the desert and would cry. And this horse Muntazar would look for his son, and he'd look in the desert and he'd cry for his son. So Hazrat Ali asked, "I'll bring this horse to him." So they brought Zuljana, the white steed. They brought Zuljana to Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. And when Zuljana came to him, before he approached the king, as Zuljana was walking to the king, who he's familiar with, right? He kissed the hand of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. And Zuljana then kissed the feet of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. The king saw this and he said, "Take this horse as well. Take this horse as well as Muntazar as my gift to you from Yemen." So Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jafar. He came back to Medina. He had these two horses with him. Went straight to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jafar. And he told him what had happened with the horses. He told him of the event. And as he was talking, Zuljana saw a child playing in the sand and putting sands of the desert on his head. Imam Hussain was sitting there taking the sand, putting it on his head, and the horse galloped towards Imam Hussain. He galloped towards Imam Hussain and he circled Imam Hussain. He did the tawaf of Imam Hussain. right? He did tawaf of Imam Hussain, and then he took his tongue and he licked the sand, and he cleaned the head of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and he sat down very calmly by him. Holy Prophet, he saw this and he started crying. He started crying as Zuljana made tawaf of Imam Hussain, as he cleaned the head of Imam Hussain, and he said and he was crying because he saw the day when the horse did the first tawaf of the child, and in front of his eyes he saw the day when the horse would do the final tawaf of the child. When he saw the final tawaf of the child, so he asked Hazrat Ali alayhi salam to give this horse to Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain was too young to ride the horse, right? So the horse would stay in the stable and would get taken care of by other people, right? And Imam Hussain used to go frequently to the stable, and he'd just look at Zuljana and stared at him. Once the Holy Prophet saw him, and he saw Imam Hussain looking at the horse as if they're having some cosmic conversation. And he asked Imam Hussain, he said, "Would you like to ride the horse?" And Prophet Muhammad was always never alone. He always had ashabs around him. All his people were always around him. People would cling to his feet and hug his feet while he walked, literally, because that was the magnetism of Prophet Muhammad. When people saw him, they either hated him or they couldn't leave him. Either way, even if they hated him, they couldn't leave him. They want to be near him, right? So people always near Prophet Muhammad. So he sees Imam Hussain looking at this horse, and he asked him, "Do you want to ride the horse?" And Imam Hussain says yes. So he takes the horse out of the stable. And Zuljana, all of a sudden he sees Imam Hussain, and he bows down to let Imam Hussain get. Now, usually people pick up, especially when a horse is a new rider, people help the rider onto the saddle. But Zuljana himself bent down so Imam Hussain can get on his back. And Imam Hussain showed no fear and got on Zuljana. They started riding, and all of the companions of Prophet Muhammad started cheering, "Subhanallah, mashallah, look, yay." It was a big, you think it's big when your kid drives a car. It was a big day back, in Prophet Muhammad's day when your children started to ride a horse. It was a big event. Now people, they graduated 5th grade, yay, let's have a ceremony. No, this was a very big accomplishment for a family, that your child is riding a horse. Subhanallah, right? It's fearless, right? Riding a horse. And so people were cheering, and as they were cheering, Prophet Muhammad started crying. And as Prophet Muhammad started crying, everyone else started crying. They said, "Oh, Prophet, such a blessed moment. Why are you crying? It's such a moment of celebration." And he said that as I see the horse bend down, as I see Zuljana, this friend of my grandson, bend down, and he got on the horse, I see in front of my eyes what Zuljana one day is going to bend down to help Imam Hussain dismount the horse, because his body is going to be so sore. You see, when Imam Hussain was on Zuljana, and when he had been attacked so many times, when he was so thirsty, so hungry, so tired, so hot, that he couldn't, delirious, he couldn't be on the horse anymore, and he knew he was going to fall off the horse. He knew he had to dismount Zuljana. He asked his horse, he said, "My friend, will you lower me so it doesn't hurt me when I dismount from you?" So he wouldn't just roll off the horse and fall on the sand. That's what happened with the boss, isn't it? Imam Hussain asked Zuljana, he's like, "Help me out, my friend." And Zuljana lowered himself, and Imam Hussain got off of the horse. And after he got off, Zuljana started running around Imam Hussain, and with his hooves trying to fight the enemies of Islam. Zuljana did his jihad too. I was reading in the same story that Imam Hussain, he wrote a message on Zuljana. What did he write the message with? He probably wrote it with his own blood. He wrote a message on Imam Hussain, on Zuljana, and the message, it said Hussain Shaheed, right, on this white horse. He rode Hussain Shaheed, and the horse rode with a horse with the saddle that was upside down, rode, and Bibi Zainab and Kulthum, they read the message on the side of Zuljana, and they started to cry. And Bibi Zainab ran out, and that's when Atele Zainabia, right, she ran out and she couldn't see Imam Hussain, and she told Allah, "I can't see my brother." And Allah raised the ground so she could see Shiver cut the head off of Imam Hussain. This was the first friend of Imam Hussain I want to talk about with Zuljana. The next friend of Imam Hussain I want to talk about, a very important person, his name was Habib. Habib means love. Perhaps his father named him because he was the love of Imam Hussain. He was a friend of Imam Hussain. Habib ibn Mazahir. I too, I once had a friend named Habib ibn Mazahir. His father's name was Mazahir, his friend was Habib. He died at a very young age. He was 8 years old when he died. The last thing he would say, he would speak of a story of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, when Hazrat Ali alayhi salam would feed the blind man, and the blind man was hungry for 3 days. That was the last thing he was doing this friend of mine, Habib. He died when he was 8 years old, right? He and I were the same age. And so now I'm in my 40s, and he's been dead for a while. Please remember him. So recite al-Asr. We'll do Fatah for him and his, after this. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So Habib ibn Madahir. Madahir was a companion of Prophet Muhammad, one of the first people to accept Islam. And he had a son. And one day Prophet Muhammad was looking at his son, and he started crying. And he called son Habib, he called him here, Prophet Muhammad called him, and he hugged him, and he kissed him, and he said, go. And his father was so happy. So the Prophet, Allah just called my son. He said, why do you love my son so much? He said, I was watching your son walk. And he was walking behind my son and Hussain. And everywhere where my son Hussain would step, he would step there, and he would take the sand, and he would kiss it and put it on his head. This is how much he loves my son. And one day he's going to be there when nobody else is there for him. Imam was saying he didn't call too many people to go with him. People would follow him, and he'd send them away. The night of Ashura, he tried to send everyone, and people stayed, right? And so, Imam was saying he didn't call anybody to come to Karbala, but he did call Habib ibn Mazar. Habib ibn Mazar lived in Kufa. See, when Hazrat Ali alayhi salam moved from Medina to Kufa, Habib ibn Mazahir too moved to Kufa, and he stayed there even when Hazrat Ali came back. When Hazrat Ali, never returned to, he was martyred in Kufa. But Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain moved back. Habib ibn Mazahir stayed in Kufa. He was one of the people who was being watched after Muslim bin Aqil was martyred. People were watching the house of Habib ibn Mazahir, watching the house of Habib ibn Mazahir. Habib ibn Mazahir wanted to join Imam Hussain so bad, but he didn't know where he was. People were sending messages to Kufa, fake messages saying that Imam Hussain had settled down in Makkah and he's safe. Yazid is protecting him in Makkah, which is not true. Habib ibn Mazahir had no idea where his friend Hussain was. He wanted to be with him so bad, right? They had no idea. If he's safe, where is he? What's going on? So it was the 4th of Muharram, and Bibi Zainab had her nursemaid, Fizza, who had raised everyone in the family. Bibi Fizza raised everyone. It was just taught by Bibi Fatima. She raised all of the children in the family of Fatima, right? And she would stand a ways away, and when people would come, she would let Bibi Zainab know who came. Hey, there's more soldiers. And every time people came, there were more soldiers coming. And Bibi Zainab went and asked Imam Hussain, said, who keeps going? Those soldiers, why are they coming? He said, they're coming to kill me. They're coming to kill me. And like I said, she said, we have 72. What are we going to do? She said, when is somebody going to come for us? When is somebody going to come for us? So Imam Hussain wrote a letter. He wrote a letter to his friend Habib. Let me tell you how this letter was delivered. Imam Hussain gave the letter to his friend to take to Kufa. His friend took this letter to Kufa, and when he got to Kufa, he had to hide behind the walls and climb over buildings and climb on the roof, right? And be very stealthy to get into Kufa because the city was being highly watched. Right? Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad was getting people to, Allah sent curses on him. We're getting people to believe that there was a rebel force that they needed to arm up and take every man with the sword must come, or you're an enemy of the state, and rallying everyone and watching people and making sure that people pledged their allegiance. Very bad place to be. Freedom's being taken away, straight taken away. And so this man did his stealthy entrance into Kufa, climbing over walls and climbing on roofs and then hiding behind the chimney, and he finally got to also Habib ibn Madar and delivered the letter. Habib ibn Madar opened the letter while he was at breakfast, and he started crying. His wife asked who this letter from. It was from my dear friend Hussain. He's inviting me to Karbala. She's like, what are you waiting for? Why are you still here? Go. When he got up, you asked somebody to do something. Oh yeah, I can go do this. They're still sitting there. No, he got up right away. His wife said, why are you still here? And so we made plans. He couldn't just leave. People would say, where are you going? And they would follow him and kill him. So he had he thought, and he said during Asr time is when most people are going to be distracted. He had his servant go and place his horse on the outskirts of Kufa on a farm. And during Asr time, he left and he snuck out of Kufa, and he got on his horse and he mounted his horse and he started riding towards Karbala. And on the 7th of Muharram, on this day that the water was cut off, on this day, Bibi Fizza came to Bibi Zainab, and she told her something different that day. She said, our guest has come. Our guest has come. And Imam Hussain heard this, and he ran and he embraced his brother and he hugged him. Oh, my Habib is here. Oh, my Habib is here. And Habib ibn Bazar, he was, my Imam was saying all the time, sometimes even in the most stressful situations, just seeing your friend nearby gives you such, hey, my friend's here. He hung out with him for 3 days like he'd never hung out with him before, hung out with him all the time, and wherever Hussein was, Habib was. And gave him, he made Habib ibn Badar, he was an older man. He was probably in his 60s. Imam Hussein was 57, Habib ibn Badar a little bit older, in his 60s, right? But he gave him command of the center flank of the troops at the beginning of the war, right? And Habib ibn Bazar, he was a great warrior, great soldier. He killed so many men, and he was also the first man to get his head cut off by the enemy. After they'd slaughtered him, they cut his head off so they could send a message to Imam Hussein. And I remember hearing the story of Imam Hussein hugging his friend and saying, "Oh my Habib, how much it must have hurt him to hug this friend of his he known for most of his life. Oh my Habib. Oh my love, oh my Habib." And then when they left Karbala, all of the heads were on spears except the head of Habib ibn Mazahir. No, the head was being dragged by the feet of a horse, tied by a rope to the feet of a horse. And this little boy would follow the head anywhere it went. And somebody asked the boy in Kufa, they said, "Why are you following this head?" He says, "My father, can I please have this head?" Habib ibn Mazahir, the friend of Imam Hussein. And then the friend of Imam Hussein was no other than his brother Abbas. So Hazrat Abbas was my hero. So I wrote Abbas the hero. He was brave. He had manners. He was respectful to women. He looked out for children. He looked out for orphans. He looked out for Imam Hussein. When Hazrat Abbas was there, nobody was scared. How can anybody kill Hussein when Abbas is here? How can anyone bring harm to the family of Bibi Fatima Tatara when Hazrat Abbas is here? So they went to Karbala. Hazrat Abbas knew nothing's gonna happen because I'm here. No one's gonna touch my brother because I'm here. Bibi Zainab knew. She knew that her hands would be tied, but how's it gonna happen when Abbas is here? So what happened? What happened was, Umar ibn Saad sent a letter to Imam Hussein giving amnesty to Hazrat Abbas. He said, "We're not going to attack Abbas. He's from, Hazrat Abbas's uncle was no other than the notorious, may Allah send curses on Shimr. Shimr was from Hazrat Abbas's mother's side of the family. And that was his uncle. And so he sent a message to Imam Hussein saying, we give amnesty to Abbas. If Abbas doesn't attack us, we will not attack Abbas." You see, they were scared of Hazrat Abbas and they wanted to tie his hands. They wanted to take his sword away. And so what did Imam Hussein do? He didn't say, "Hey, too bad. He's on our side." No, he didn't let Hazrat Abbas lift his sword. Hazrat Abbas lifted his sword a couple times. He lifted his sword when they went and saw the cut up pieces of Janabi Qasim on the floor when his body had been trampled. Hazrat Abbas lifted his sword to go after the people who had trampled him. And Imam Hussein grabbed him and he said, "No, Abbas. They're running away. Don't hit him with your sword." When Hur came up, Hazrat Hur came up and told Imam Hussein to move the tents away from the water. He'd gotten a little bit disrespectful with Imam Hussein. And Hazrat Abbas knew that they can't move the tents from the water. So he lifted his sword and he said, "We're not moving the tents." And Imam Hussein told him to put his sword away. He said, "Move the tents." Right? No matter how much Hazrat Abbas wanted, if Hazrat Abbas, they sent Hazrat Abbas with his sword, what do you think would have happened? What do you think 10,000 men would have stopped the lion of Qamar bin Hashim? You think 10,000 men would have stopped Hazrat Abbas? By the time he was done swinging his sword, everyone would have fled and ran. Imam was saying, who knows what his fate would have been, right? Who knows what people would be saying about Karbala? But because of Imam Hussein's patience, because he chose nonviolence, people see Karbala for what it was, and that's the saving moment of Islam. That's when people decided, what kind of Muslim do you want to be? Do you want to choose strength? Do you want to choose to live a life of sacrifice? Do you want to choose to be an example of humanity or not? And that's what we choose when you choose to be people of Hussein, isn't it? We're people who aren't going to stand there while people are being oppressed, right? We're people who aren't going to stand there while you're saying bad things about the family of the Prophet. We're not going to stand there while people are showing a bad example of what Muslims are. Well, that's a choice we make when we chose to be people of Hussein. That doesn't just mean we're going to cry for 10 days in Islam. No, it means we're going to cry our whole lives. We're going to cry our whole lives because of the atrocities of this world, because we deserve nothing and Allah gives us everything, and people who are only worthy of hell think that they run everything, and they bring oppression down on people, and we can't stand for that. And that's why even on our most relaxed day we're stressed, because inside of us we worry about humanity, and that's a choice that we make as a people of Hussein. Imam Hussein had that choice, right? On the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein looked around, and everybody had been shaheed. And there was Hazrat Abbas, right? Usually people save the best for last. Hazrat Abbas, go finish him off now. No, he told Hazrat Abbas, he knew Hazrat Abbas was upset, because every time he was asking for permission, every time he wanted to do something, Imam Hussein would tell him to do something else. And he told Abbas, he heard the kids crying, al-Atash, al-Atash. And he went to him and said, my brother Abbas, they go get these kids water. They've been very thirsty. That's what he says to him. Kids have been very thirsty. Go try to get them some water. And Bibi Sakina hears this and runs. Abbas, you're going to go get us water? Yes, Abbas is going to get us water. Abbas is going to get us water. So he mounted his steed, Wakab, his mighty horse. And as he started to ride, Imam Hussein grabbed him and he took his sword. And he said, Abbas, don't take this with you. Take this with you. He gave him the flag of Islam. Give him the flag of Islam. So Abbas looked at him. Said, go. Hazrat Abbas went. And see, on the day that Hazrat Ali alayhi salam was dying, when the doctor had seen his body and realized that the poison was gonna go all through Hazrat Ali's body and would be the cause of his death, he said, maybe we could slow it down. Maybe we could slow it down if we put milk on his wounds. Maybe the milk will permeate his body and will slow down the poison. And so this was announced in Kufa, where Hazrat Ali was. And all the orphans, all the little orphans of Kufa, Hazrat Ali was known as the father of orphans. They all lined up at the door of Hazrat Ali's house with little bowls full of milk. Full of milk for Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. Put this on his head. The orphans had their bowls and their hands out. And on this day of Ashura, the son of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam was riding to go get water. The orphans of Karbala came out with their bowls, but this time their bowls didn't have water, and they didn't have milk in it. Their bowls were empty. Just as Hazrat Ali had filled the bowls for the orphans, they were waiting for his son Abbas to come back and fill the orphans' bowls with water. And Bibi Sakina told them, the water is coming, water is coming. And you know, when you tell a child you're about to do something, they get super excited. These children got to, al-Atash, al-Atash. They started, we're thirsty, hurry up with the water, Abbas, hurry up with the water, al-Atash, al-Atash, al-Atash. And Hazrat Abbas heard this, and he saw the flag of Islam, you could see going through. And as you see the flag of Islam, the soldiers some were scared, and some would start to part. And Hazrat Abbas, he reached the river, and the Bibi Sakina, she saw the flag of Islam go down, and she got on her tippy toes. She could see the flag of Islam, and when the flag got raised, she knew that Hazrat Abbas had gone water, and all the kids had rejoiced. Al-Atash, the Abbas is coming, and the flag of Islam was raised again, and it started to waver, and it started to go towards the camp. And then when it started to go towards the camp, people started to attack Hazrat Abbas, and they saw the flag go here and there. They saw the flag waving. They started to get nervous. They started to see what happened. And Hazrat Abbas's arm, somebody jumped out of a tree and cut Hazrat Abbas's arm off, and he caught the flag as he was riding the horse. Hazrat Abbas caught the flag, and he lifted it, and they saw this, and the kids were worried, but they still saw the flag. Hazrat Abbas was carrying the mushk in his mouth with his teeth, and the flag of Islam in his hand, and riding the horse, and the horse was going, and he's taking the horse, and the horse was kicking the enemies away and defending it. And Hazrat Abbas said, I don't need hands, I don't need weapons. Hazrat Abbas was the greatest warrior people had ever seen, and this was nothing for him, and he was still riding back, and somebody had come from behind another tree, and they cut his other arm off, and the flag of Islam fell. The flag of Islam fell, and Hazrat Abbas started to get dizzy, not because he was weak, but because he knew that all that was left was a mushk. And then Hurmala, he shot 7 arrows on that day. 4 arrows hit their targets. One of the arrows was a an arrow that had pierced the mushk of Bibi Sakina, spilled all the water out of the mushk and pierced the chest of Hazrat Abbas. The water from the mushk started to spill out, mixed with Hazrat Abbas's blood. Another arrow hit Hazrat Abbas in the eye. After the Bibi Sakina had seen the flag of Islam fall again, she turned back towards the orphans, towards her friends, and she said, "Put your bowls away. There's no water coming for us. The flag of Islam is gone. The flag bearer of Islam is not coming back." She said, "Abbas, please come back, my uncle. I'll never ask for water again if you just come back to me." Hazrat Abbas fell from his horse, and he did the only thing that he wanted to do is he called out to Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain, as he started to leave, to run out, when he would go to lift the body, Hazrat Abbas, Hazrat Ali Akbar would come with him. Hazrat Abbas, Hazrat Ali Akbar, Habib ibn Mazar would come with him. Imam Hussain started to run out towards the desert alone. Nobody was with him. His back had already been broken, not just literally, but figuratively. His back was broken carrying body after body. His back had been broken when he had to carry the pieces of Hazrat Ali Akbar, the pieces of Janab Qasim, right? Imam Hussain, as he was running towards where his brother's voice was coming from, he looked down and he saw the arm of Hazrat Abbas on the floor, and you would think that would drive a man insane, but not Imam Hussain. He had already seen this very sight, limbs scattered all over, when he saw the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar on the sand of Karbala, when he saw the body and the body pieces of Janab Qasim all over the sand of Karbala. So Imam Hussain, this is not a new sight to him, He looked again and he saw another arm of Hazrat Abbas. He finally sees Hazrat Abbas. He sees Hazrat Abbas, and he takes his head, he puts it in his lap, and he cleans the blood out of his eye. Hazrat Abbas looks at him and he says to his brother, "You're the first thing I saw when I was born. I want you to be the first thing I see when I die." Right now, Hazrat Abbas, as I said, he had no arms. He had an arrow in his eye. Think about how he must have fallen off his horse. The mighty Abbas, he fell on his face. The land of Karbala's final resting place. The time was near. His brother and master Hussain, he shed tears. Oh Abbas, my loyal, loving brother. They took your arms and they shot your eye. Here on the sand of Karbala where your body will lie. And Zainab will cry. And Sakina, she will remain thirsty. For the sake of Abbas, for the sake of Babul Hawaj, may Allah grant all of us mercy. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Abbas pani lao, Abbas pani lao. Abbas pani lao, Abbas pani lao. Abbas pani lao, Abbas pani lao. Abbas pani lao, Abbas pani lao.
ज़ैनब ये रो के बोली भैया न दिल दुखाओ, क्या देर का सबब है ये तो हमें बताओ। मशकीज़ा भर के जल्दी दरिया से लौटाओ, मशकीज़ा भर के जल्दी दरिया से लौटाओ। बच्ची की तशनगी को तुम आके खुद बुझाओ। यकीनन यादों में खो गई है,
यकीनन यादों में खो गई है।
बाबा को रोते रोते उफ थक के सो गई है।
रोते रोते उफ थक के सो गई है।
या तश्न लब सकीना बेहोश हो गई है।
लब सकीना बेहोश हो गई है।
या तश्न लब सकीना बेहोश हो गई है।
लब सकीना बेहोश हो गई है।
पानी का दे के छीटा तुम ही उसे जगाओ।
अब्बास 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 पानी लाओ। 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 अब्बास पानी लाओ।
हाथों में खाली फूजे बच्चे लिए हुए हैं।
खाली फूजे बच्चे लिए हुए हैं।
गिरदे सकीना देखो हल्का किए हुए हैं।
सकीना देखो हल्का किए हुए हैं।
बच्चे न जाने कब का पानी पिए हुए हैं।
बच्चे न जाने कब का पानी पिए हुए हैं।
बच्चे न जाने कब का पानी पिए हुए हैं।
बच्चे न जाने कब का पानी पिए हुए हैं।
बिन आब मर न जाए पानी इन्हें पिलाओ।
अब्बास 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 पानी लाओ। 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 अब्बास पानी लाओ।
इस बेकसी पहाए आता है मुझको रोना।
इस बेकसी पहाए आता है मुझको रोना।
पुरहौल है अंधेरा और खाक का बिछोना।
हाल है अंधेरा और खाक का बिछोना।
सीने पे सोने वाली क्या जाने ऐसे सोना।
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 प्यासी है मुज़तरिब है आकर उसे सुलाओ।
अब्बास 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 पानी लाओ। 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 अब्बास पानी लाओ।
उल्फत की आग दिल में पैरम लगी हुई है।
की आग दिल में पैरम लगी हुई है।
रोजा तुम्हारा देखे ये हसरते दिली है।
तुम्हारा देखे ये हसरते दिली है।
जाहिर बने तुम्हारा ये ख्वाहिशे ज़की है।
बने तुम्हारा ये ख्वाहिशे ज़की है।
जाहिर बने तुम्हारा ये ख्वाहिशे ज़की है।
बने तुम्हारा ये ख्वाहिशे ज़की है।
आंखों की तिश्नगी को तुम दीद से बुझाओ।
अब्बास 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 पानी लाओ। 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 अब्बास पानी लाओ।
So Amanda tells us her family has cable internet. I was raised on cable.
Don't you want to raise your kids? Just say yes. Uncable yourself. Get
Fatima Zahra, tu jarue jab sham o Zahar, Fatima Zahra, तू जरूर अब्बास तेरा हक है तू जरूर अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तू जरूर दुलारी है पैरी पे सितमगार गदा है दुलारी है पैरी पे सितमगार गदा है कैसी तेरा लाशे पे सकीना तू जरूर कैसी तेरा लाशे पे सकीना तू जरूर अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तू जरूर अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तू जरूर जिस वक्त ये उठाया गाया ला से जवान का जिस वक्त ये उठाया गाया ला से जवान का शे असर हदी अकबर से ज़्यादा तू जरूर शे असर हदी अकबर से ज़्यादा तू जरूर अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तू जरूर अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तू जरूर ज़ैनब ने कहा शाम गरीबा मैं यहोज़ी ज़ैनब ने कहा शाम गरीबा मैं यहोज़ी बेपर्दा मुझे देखा बाबा तू जरूर बेपर्दा मुझे देखे के बाबा तू जरूर अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तू जरूर अब्बास तेरा हक है ज़माना तू जरूर
Abbas, ya Abbas,
या अब्बास या अब्बास
ya Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jazzakallahu khairan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma kullan waliyakul hujjatan al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala abai fi hadhal as-sa'a wa fi kulli sa'a wa liyawahab wa ghayrun ودعيه وإلى حتى تسكنه أرزقه وتمتعه فيها طويلا فتسقى يا حمران
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jazzakallahu. Nare Haydari.
या
Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.